£1 worth of shares back to the bank. The weather, a dry but cloudy day for many, a high of 13 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. Long delays continue on the M25 clockwise to the QE2 bridge after the closure earlier this morning. Long delays on the A13 from North Stifford, and as a result of the earlier diversion, there are long delays in East London, especially on the A12 southbound, delays of about half an hour heading towards Poplar, and also on the A13 westbound, there are delays of about an hour from Dagenham to the Blackwall Tunnel. Elsewhere, very busy on the M25 anti-clockwise from junction 21A at St Albans and 18 at Chorley Wood. And on the underground, the Central Line remains suspended from White City to Ealing Broadway and between White City and West Ruislip.
This is LBC. Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973. LBC. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
It's 10 minutes before 8. Just before the break, we were speaking with Steve, who is on that blind trial, and we were expressing concern. A lot of you are on the same trial, Steve, so you're right in what you say. Jess in Slough, Mike, Rob in Southampton, you all seem to be doing similar things, so look after yourself. But just remember, don't take anything without the advice of a doctor or clinician, and the best of luck with that. Let's come back to other matters, and as the country Of course, as coped with coronavirus, a lot of pressure has been put on broadband. So the government is seeking now to try and improve the quality. Here with details now is Digital, Culture, Media and Sports Secretary of State Oliver Dowden, who joins me. If I ask just broadly, before we get into the Secretary of State, prior to coronavirus or COVID, how do you think broadband, the offering was for the United Kingdom? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Nick. So prior to COVID hit, we had a relatively robust system that could cope with the needs of now. That's super fast. So that super fast will enable you to have the kind of conversation we're having with a video link or to download your Netflix movies. The next stage, and this is what Project Gigabit is all about, is ensuring that we future-proof. So just like we built motorways in the 50s or the sewers were built in the Victorian era, we need to make sure we've got broadband suitable for the next generation. So we're rolling out the fastest broadband in the world, and we've gone from about 9% coverage of this gigabit capable broadband at the beginning of 2019 to 40% now, 60% by the end of the year. But there remains a challenge for the most remote areas, the last 20%, that will need government subsidy to achieve that. And that's what today's plans are all about.
And those hard-to-get areas, when might they, Secretary of State, be online, for want of a better expression?
Well, we've already, in some parts of the country, got that money out the door. So money's gone to central Scotland and money's gone to Northern Ireland. In England, which is what I'm announcing today, the first 1 million places will get the funding this year. We'll sign the contracts this year, and the shovels will be in the ground at the beginning of next year. So that's remote areas everywhere from Durham to Hartlepool through to Cornwall and Cumbria. And also ensuring that places like schools and libraries and GP surgeries, 7,000 of those remote places will also get a connection thanks to this programme.
OK, so broadband is on the way, but it would appear in some instances some doses of the vaccine are not on the way. What is the latest you can tell us about what appears to be a lump in the supply from India, Secretary of State?
Well, the first thing is that we are on track as we set out previously. So our key milestones, we've met the first one. That's the most vulnerable groups by the middle of February. Next target is all over 50s and clinically vulnerable by the middle of April. We remain on track for that. Then the rest of adults by the end of July. It is always the case. There'll be ups and downs in supply, but that's not pushed us off that trajectory.
But is India withholding vaccines that should be finding their way to the United Kingdom, Secretary of State?
No, India is not withholding vaccines, and I pay tribute to the work of the Serum Institute. They have had some supply issues with 5 million doses, as the PM and the Health Secretary outlined yesterday. But we always knew that there would be ups and downs, and that's part of our planning assumptions. That's why we've been relatively cautious, for example, with the roadmap for getting out of lockdown.
So that's not the roadmap, as you like to call it, or the plan, as I call it. That's not affected in any way, shape or form, Secretary of State?
No, the roadmap is not affected. So at the moment, we remain on course for the next easing on the 29th. That's particularly in my area, that allows us to have all outdoor sports. It is worth bearing in mind, though, we still need to fully analyse the effect of schools returning. We don't see any problems at the moment. We won't get a full picture for a while. If there is concerns around that, obviously we'd have to review the dates.
Yes, Secretary of State, coming very much to your area, there was a report that the FA Cup final could be played in front of 20,000 fans, and the World Snooker Championships could also have fans. What more can you tell us about that, Mr. Dowden?
Yes, so the final stage of the roadmap, stage 4, the earliest date's 21st of June. We want to basically go beyond where we were last summer. So 17th of May gets us back to last summer. That has social distance performances. We want to look at ways of getting more people in. That's why we're piloting in different venues how we can do that safely. So one of the pilots will be at the FA Cup final. The other will be at the Crucible. The important thing is less to do with the snooker, which happens to be the event that's on there at the time. It's testing in an indoor seated environment. So that will be the same as for theatres and elsewhere. And we want to test how we can do that safely and get as many people in as we can.
So how many people will be able to attend the Crucible for the snooker, Mr. Dowden?
Well, we will get as many people as we can in safely. We're working through the plans with them now. We already know that you'll be able to have people socially distanced, so up to 1,000 with social distancing. How
many does the Crucible hold? Do you know?
I don't have the figures to hand on me right now, and we're working through the details of that. But the purpose of this, Nick, is to try and get people without that social distancing, which was already allowed last summer, and we're working with the venue to see how we do that.
I'm told that it's around just under 1,000 people who can get into the Crucible. This, if we're talking about the same event, this starts on April the 17th, which is less than a month away, and you have no idea how many people can attend. Is that correct?
No, I don't have no idea.
So how many people can go?
So the purpose of doing this is really important to understand this, is to test people in close proximity.
Yes.
And to do that, we are working with the public health authority.
I get that. So I'm told 980 people that would normally attend the Crucible. What is the number you're working towards?
Well, we're working towards getting as many people as we can in that situation, but we work with the public health authorities to make sure that we can do so in a safe way. This is about piloting and testing. And by the way, it won't be the same on every night. So we'll be testing in different ways how we can get more people in beyond what we already allowed last summer. That's to say, with social distancing, which is about 50%. So we'll get us beyond half capacity in those.
I see. So you would hope somewhere in the region of 400 to 500, something like that.
Well, that was your baseline, because that's what will be allowed after the 15th with social distancing. We want to get beyond that, and we'll test different ways of doing it. It's a pilot rather than a trial, if you see what I mean. So it's to test all different ways of doing this, finding out the most safe way, and that will inform the rules that will surround having people back in larger numbers after the 21st of June.
From snooker to football, the Prime Minister was quite bullish earlier this month about an offer to make available more games for the Euro. We're still calling it the Euro 2020, I'm sure you're aware, here in the United Kingdom. Have we put that idea forward? Are we going to be hosting the Euro, Secretary of State?
Well, yes, and my department are working very closely with UEFA on the hosting of the Euros. But first of all, we're focusing on delivering the things we've already committed to, including the finals and the semis. We've always made it clear that if there is a need, we'd be happy to host more. But of course, that's for them to come to us. My focus at the moment is on safely delivering the elements that are already committed.
OK, so we've not really moved forward on the idea of hosting the Euros at all yet?
Well, we stand ready, but it's up to the tournament organisers to come to us. And what the Prime Minister was saying is we're ready, we're confident that we can do this stuff. But they, as you understand, with any international tournament, we don't own it, they own it, and it's for them to come.
So if we're asked, we can do it. We're up for the job.
That is completely correct.
OK,
yeah.
Well, I'm very excited about that. Last couple of things. A video was made. A beacon of hope, the UK vaccine story. Has it been shelved, Secretary of State?
I'm afraid I have absolutely no idea. I saw the trailer for it. I'll have to come back to you on.
Okay.
I assume it's going to happen. But I don't know. It's not really in my.
You don't think perhaps it was a little too early to be making that video? We've still got a ways. Although the United Kingdom has made tremendous progress and is a world leader in many areas, we've still got some hurdles to clear. Keeping the sporting metaphors going.
We're on course. We're absolutely on course for what we set out. The next hurdle, as you put it, that we need to clear is by mid-April, which is all over 50s and clinically vulnerable, being able to access the vaccine, and we're confident we'll deliver on that. And the final hurdle, well, the next hurdle, I guess, is the end of July for the first vaccine for all adults. Of course, then you've got to do the second vaccines and everything else.
Can I ask you, we must all fill in the census this weekend, as I'm sure you will be doing, Secretary of State. But why does the government need to know my sexuality or my religion?
Well, it's always been the case that as we conduct a census, we try and get as much information as we can about the population. It's useful for government planning and
why? Why do you need to know whether I'm gay, bi, or straight? What does the government? How does that influence the government?
Well, it's rather like knowing whether you're a man or a woman, or where you live, or how many children you have living in that household. It's all part of building up a picture of the nation. That's what censuses have done for.
I can understand as provision of primary schools, the age of my children. I get that, but why does it matter whether I'm bisexual?
Well, the sexuality of people is important in terms of understanding how the nation is. That the census is about getting as complete a picture of the nation, so it can be used for government and wider research purposes. And the great thing about the census is it gives us, going back over, I think, more than a century now, a picture of the evolving nature of the United Kingdom.
But why does it matter whether I'm a Jehovah's Witness?
Well, I believe in the last census, again, we asked about people's religion.
Okay.
It's about drawing up a picture of the UK.
Last couple of questions. Should Nicola Sturgeon resign?
Well, let's wait for the full committee report to come out. And our leader in Scotland has set out the position. We're very concerned about that, but let's wait for the full report. So I think that's a fire alarm.
Okay, are you all right? Do you need to evacuate the building, Mr. Dowden?
I think this is a routine fire test.
I've had Michael Gove's
perils of live broadcasting via Zoom.
I've had Michael Gove's cat, and now I've had your fire alarm. Lastly, Mr. Dowden, who's going to win the Six Nations? Who's going to win it, Mr. Dowden?
Well, you're asking me to choose between all the wonderful nations of the United Kingdom. I've always been.
Well, it's not the wonderful nations. I mean, they're not all in the running, are they, Mr. Dowden? Only two can actually do it, and not necessarily, of course, all in the United Kingdom. Who's going to win it?
I'm not going to get.
Mr. Dowden, do you know who might win it? Do you know the two countries? Mr. Dowden, can I put it to you?
All right, you'll get a politician with a straight answer, and I've got many Welsh friends. I'll go for Wales.
Thank you for your time. Where's your flag?
I've never had a flag. I do have the Queen. I hope you can see that.
Okay. All right. Well, you check. You've got egress and ingress with that fire alarm going. Oliver Dowden, thank you for your time. Culture Secretary appearing here on LBC, where the time is 2 minutes after 8. News is next.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 8 o'clock, it's understood a Holyrood committee has concluded Nicola Sturgeon misled the Scottish Parliament, increasing pressure on her to resign. MSPs have been investigating